Welcome to the Leading with Love podcast. I'm your host, Shauna Arthurs. The purpose of this podcast is to touch your heart, expand your soul, and help us all be everything we came here to be. We have interviews with amazing humans and solo episodes as well, all made to bring more love, more joy, and wisdom into your day. It's a growing list, so check back often and let's dive right in. Hi, guys. Speaking of amazing humans, you are going to love this interview today. I have the most amazing, beautiful soul as my guest, and I'm really excited to bring her on. She is in Bali right now, and I am in the Pacific Northwest. So it's nighttime for me, it is morning for her. And one of the beautiful things that we just went over in our just kind of pre chat as we were getting ready for this conversation was that she doesn't have the best internet connection where she is because she's on this beautiful island where her heart led her to, where she chose to be. And she's creating this gorgeous, passionate, alive life there, as she was called there. And so one of the sacrifices, so to speak, that she makes to have the ocean outside her window and this beautiful, warm, tropical air as her reality is that she doesn't have great internet. So, for those of you who are listening on the podcast only, oh, she's coming in. So, there's an example. So, this was exactly my point. If you're watching, watch this, okay? I'm going to bring her on right now. I'm not going to wait anymore because this is exactly what I was talking about. So, this is Amy Bingham coming to you from beautiful Bali, and she already had to go out and come back in again once because the connection just drops. So we were trying to figure out, should we do this, should we not do this, and we just decided to go with the flow, which is kind of how we both roll. And kind of one of the things we're going to be talking about today is just surrender and just letting things be exactly as they are and making the best of it and just going for it anyway. So while I have many wonderful things to say more about Amy, I will just say welcome to you, Amy, and thank you for being here.
Oh, I'm so excited to be on here with you and having all the beautiful conversations that are just going to be unfolding and the beautiful connection and energy that we have.
Yeah, it's so lovely. And so, again, for those of you listening, you won't really catch the Amy's coming in and out, but visually, she might not. She might just disappear for a second. And I'm going to try and pause the recording for a second if that happens. But if not, then you'll know what's happening. And it's just life. It's all good. So, yeah, thank you again. Thank you for your beautiful spirit. And Amy is somebody who, the second I saw her, we connected on Facebook. Oh, there she goes. So I'm going to pause for a sec. Okay, resuming recording. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, all right. Anyway, all I was saying was that I just loved you at like from first sight because your spirit is so obviously just beautiful. And we were talking beforehand about catalysts, and I think I'm going to start the conversation there because for me to have a podcast called Leading with Love and for you to have moved your life to Bali, um, it's just almost self-evident that there was a spiritual awakening there. There was a following your heart that happened for both of us. And often that happens when tough stuff happens, right? You start with something that's really, really difficult. And I think maybe we'll just start there and go up from there. So please share whatever you'd like to.
Yeah. I fully believe that the has always been meant to unfold for a higher ascension, for our soul to grow. And it's something that we were aware of long before we came down onto the earth this lifetime. And, it's something that I always had a little bit of an awareness of when I had lost my son. So this has been a little over 8 years ago. And it was a very unexpected, traumatic event that shook our family to the core. And in there, all along, I knew there was something very, very deep and meaningful about that experience. And so I searched many times looking for the meaning and what is my purpose now. And there is something that I need to be pursuing that on a vastly different journey than what my life was before. It was really hard to try and find what that new path was and where I align now, especially when you are in just the depths of grief and feeling like you have lost every bit of your identity and your purpose in your life. For me at the time, I also was pregnant with my little daughter, and um, so much change was going on in my life. And within a few months of my son passing, I had given birth. And within a few months after that, our family really fell apart. Yes.
Okay, she's back. You were saying about your family falling apart.
Yeah. So in that time, really our family couldn't find the way. Me and my spouse at the time, and it very quickly ended in a divorce and separation. And so here I found myself single mom with brand new infant, and I'm still haven't even started the process of grieving my 17-year-old son that had passed away. And but in all of this, I definitely had this awareness that there was something so large at hand that was unfolding. Um, but I didn't know which direction it was going to take, either into my complete depths to the point where I choose to leave my life
Yeah.
and leave the world, right? I
Yes.
mean, I was in those depths. Or was it going to somehow miraculously switch and I couldn't see that light? But over time, little by little, I started really seeking and reaching for higher awareness, higher consciousness to actually just connect to my son on the other side. And the more and more I was just open to it, and I was seeing bliss in the signs everywhere I went. I thought every sunset was a sky he painted for me. I thought every bird that flew by had a special message that would drop down to me. And I stayed in that just hopeful seeking and reaching for a higher connection, for some way to just reach the other side and being able to communicate and connect and know really what's next for me and what's my purpose now, and that guidance.
Yeah.
Prior
Yeah.
to that, I was not a spiritual person at all. And so,
Really?
oh,
Oh, that's fascinating. That's
yeah,
a big piece that's going to make a lot of mean something to
yeah.
people.
I didn't believe in a lot. Like I had no idea what my beliefs were with afterlife or even like past life or connecting to guides or a higher consciousness. This was something that didn't exist within me at the time.
Wow.
But the more and more I reached and sought this, and I thought, man, if I can have these conversations still with my son, if I can hear him, feel him, sense him, smell him, um, I can do this life. Like, just
Yes.
give me connection with him on the other side.
Yeah.
And yeah, the more and more I sought that, it was beautiful and unbelievable what unfolded. And and the more and more of me understanding my my journey and also my awakening to what role I play in my own being and my own consciousness, and me as a whole here on this world, that it's a world that I've created. This is my creation. This is where I exist, and whatever I have and see and view and feel and connect, this is something that I've created. Um, and it's just beautiful when you can really start tapping into that. And there's a lot that comes with it. There's a lot of letting go,
Hmm.
uh, a lot of letting go from what our previous knowledge and beliefs were.
Yes.
One big
Whew.
part for me in that letting go that was needed was many years into it. I kept receiving messages from my son to empty his room,
Oh,
and yeah, change it into something else. And I knew what that meant was not to put all of his things in a box and move it to storage.
yeah. It meant
I knew,
really, really
yeah,
let go physically.
really let go.
Hmm.
And I would feel the energy of it, and I would feel how beautiful and light and how powerful, and a new shift in my house, and for my kids this could be a new playroom, and I would get so excited. And then my fear would creep in, and I'd say, but what am I now going to do with his things? It will devastate me putting them in a box,
Hmm.
you know. Um, so I would go through this kind of process for quite a few months of getting excited of this next level, but then this fear of the attachments I had to his belongings, to the things he touched, to the things that were his, to his, um, his clothes that had his smell on it, his books that he had his handwriting on. But over time, I was really pushed right into it. It's almost like my guides were like, "We're doing this now. We're going to take a little bit more control and really allow this opening to happen." And in that process of letting go of all of his belongings, it opened up even more doors to me. And it was like a test for me. Like the universe was saying,
You really, can you do
"We
this?
see
Are you
you.
going to do it? Hmm.
Yeah, we see you, and we see that you see us, and that you see what this can be. And we can see that you're feeling into that vibration, that higher frequency, that higher vibration that's not attached to the grief and the sorrow and the attachments of worldly things." Um, so it was this very big tug of war, right? And test of, are you in or are you out? Are you in or you're out? You've been dancing here. Now's the time to jump,
Wow.
take the leap.
What's,
And
oh, goodness.
and it's scary, right? Because we think, oh,
Well, but
getting rid
it's
of all that.
really
Like,
letting
what does
go.
that
Like, that's a big
mean? What
letting
is
go.
on that other side?
Here. Okay, we lost her for a second there. Um, and for those of you who are watching and not just listening, you see me, I'm nodding my head and I'm smiling and I'm shaking my head like just in awe because the fact that we can be sitting here, this beautiful woman and I talking, I'm a mom, she's a mom, talking about the loss of her son with smiles on our faces shows you how powerful spiritual awakening is, shows you how powerful our hearts are, shows you how powerful surrender is and non-attachment and reaching for a wider understanding and perspective and trusting that life has got your back even though it seems like it's absolutely doesn't. In the worst and most painful of circumstances, I'm just in awe of this woman, of you, Amy, and of life, of what's possible. And I just want to share something. It's not something I talk about often, but I lost my brother. He was actually just a couple years younger than your son, and I saw my parents go through what you went through. And I don't want to dive into that at all. It's not to take anything away, but more that I have seen that devastation close up, and it is a universe altering thing that can happen in life. Right? There's no, it just changes everything. And what you took out of that and what you've brought to your life and to your daughter Aria, right? And you have another son, to your children's lives. The joy that you were able to cultivate and create because you are aware that you are creating is so beautiful because I've seen the grief that engenders, that brings upon one's life, and some people really do hang on to that for the rest of their lives. And you took this situation and you made your life is so beautiful, and it's such an inspiration. So please carry on. You were talking about how the universe was testing you and saying, okay, what's it going to be, my girl? Back
Well,
to you.
and yeah, even to mention real quick, this isn't to say that I didn't spend my years in my depths, right?
Yep.
One thing that I stayed very, very true to was I needed to honor every single emotion that came up. I never allowed myself to say, oh, nope, now's not the time and place. I need to put on my happy face, or I need to put on, I didn't fake it. If I needed to break down and cry, I did it. If I needed to, in the office of the corporation that I worked at, if I needed to be in the bathroom for 3 hours crying uncontrollably, I allowed myself. I allowed myself to go in and out of every wave of grief and not hide it from anybody by any
Or
means.
yourself.
Yeah, myself, right? Like that's something that if we can't go through the depths of the emotion, that's where that emotion as energy gets stuck in our body, and it's going to trigger and come up and just create the most massive amount of blocks that are more painful to deal with at a later time in life.
Yeah.
So allowing the energy to constantly be moving through our body requires us to allow the emotion in every way it's meant to. um, yeah. So,
Beautiful.
in those moments, I had, this, my thoughts and my beliefs around this time was what I heard and what I saw in every beautiful grief poem out there, that I would cling to these words. And so much of it was, um, that there's a story of that I will forever be living with this, that grief is now a part of me, right?
Yes.
And they were written beautifully, and I would cling to those, but those became now my belief. And I never felt like, if I still have 40 years to live, how can I live with this for 40 years?
Hmm.
This is my forever sentence. I will have grief the rest of my life. This will always be moving with me. And it just felt beyond unbearable. Like there's no way to live, there's no way I can survive. So this is when I started making those choices of, that belief no longer works for me. That
Wow.
does not work for me, that any level of grief has to move with me where I'm going. And on any level, not meaning I will have a softer form of it, and that I will still carry the sadness and the missing of my son.
Right.
That doesn't exist where I'm at. Where I
Amazing. Oh
connect
yeah, you
with
didn't
him,
mute it or,
yeah.
dampen it down. You actually you changed you alchemized all of it. And it's not, I think this is very, very important because it's not something people say very often when they've lost someone. And we all lose everybody, right? I mean, not to belittle that, but seriously, none of us are getting out of this alive, this particular iteration of consciousness, right? So that you are a trailblazer. I'm sure you know this, but in terms of alchemizing grief into something that, taking joy in life after losing, after such a deep loss, is a stunning revelation. It's a stunning way to live that you chose. It's very, very beautiful. And I know people who have lost beloveds and just cannot let go of that grief. Can't. This is such a beautiful. I didn't mean for this conversation to be about this, but I just know intuitively that there are people who are going to watch this and listen to this who may at first resist, as you know, because it's hard to let go of that grief. Really,
Well,
really hard.
we have a belief that if if I'm happy now, others are going to think that I didn't care. If
Yes.
I choose to, in all the ways of building a life that maybe doesn't show that he still has a sanctuary in my home that has been used very much as a grieving center, and that means that I've forgotten him. right? We carry so many beliefs of what will others think. I had so many eyes on me. The whole community,
Yeah.
all the mothers are watching me of how is she going
Yes.
to navigate this? I
It's
felt
like
like
you
I
can
had
have
the
a life, but you
world.
can't be happy. How is that even?
Yeah.
Oh, stunning. This is such beautiful permission. I think it's going to be hard for some people to take, or we can just believe that it's going to be easy and it's transformative, just listening to your words and feeling your energy and knowing that it's true.
When we're triggered by this, I have to say, um, at one point when I had decided to remodel my house and also to change my son's room, when I had decided to do that, I remember telling some of my siblings, and and in that moment, my sister laughed with me and she said, "This is huge, Amy. This is just huge for you to be at this place. If somebody a short time ago would have suggested that you need to do this in your home, you would have throat punched them."
Ah, yeah. Wow. So it's something you had
You-
to come to. It wasn't, yeah, it's not that it was
yeah,
easy, and we're not saying that.
yeah. And so in that, we'll start having little messages or awareness. My son kept saying, "Mom, it's time to change my room," and little by little, I started allowing it to sit with me, and what does that feel like? And there's another grieving process I now will have to go through again to let go of his things. And so that's why it's so hard in the letting go process, is each one is a whole new layer of
Yeah.
grief, another step, right? So in that, being able to, when something triggers us, and I'm a firm believer in this, when I get triggered, when I hear something and it triggers me, and inside I'm boiling with emotions of how could they think this or that, or any of those levels, I realize it's my soul and my personality having a conflict.
Mm.
We can refer to it as ego and soul, and that there's something my soul wants me to hear in that message. There's something my soul wants me to just fill into, that there's something that is so deeply needed. But my personality and my wounds and my worry and my ego is an absolute no, that's not for me. I could never do that. I can't do that. So when we're having that inner battle, just realize that our soul is really aching for us to hear something in that. And
Mhm.
there's something that's meant for us. And so when we can really quiet back down into that space, and so some of the things that may be voiced in here, you may start feeling that trigger, right? That trigger of how could that be
Yeah.
possible? How could I get there? And just know that that's something that your soul is saying, just hang tight with it. Just let it sit with you.
Just be
That's
open
all.
that there might be a different, wider perspective that is being shown, trying to come through. And we
May
resist,
not for
right?
months.
It may not for
Yeah.
years, but and we resist those in those moments when we feel like something's really wrong, or as you said, we get triggered, we get angry, we project, and we're just like somebody's doing, even if it's not a loss, but it's more every single time we have something like that. It sounds like such a cliche and it's probably annoying to hear it too, but it is an opportunity. It's like somebody coming along and offering you a gift. And you're saying, forget it. That's not, you're just refusing to see that it's a gift, but it is. It is.
It's
We've
not
done
wrapped
enough
in
work. We
the
know that it is.
beautiful,
What's that?
yeah, it's not wrapped in the beautiful wrapping paper and gold bow that we see as the iconic image of a gift.
Yes.
Instead, it comes to us in a something that we would look at and think there can't be beauty in that.
Yeah, a very
Not realizing
prickly,
so.
uncomfortable package that we don't want to deal with and whatever that might be. Yeah, absolutely. I have so many questions. I have so many things I want to ask you about, and I'm just going to look at my notes here because um, I adore you and I love your spirit, and I'm just thinking, okay, so I think this segues perfectly into one of the things I wanted to ask you about. Obviously, as we said, you are in Bali and you're not from Bali, but not like not only have you overcome what for many would be just a permanently life altering loss, which it was, but you allowed yourself to follow your heart. It was almost like that catalyst propelled you further than most, and it so made you dive into your own heart and your own dreams and your own personality. It's like your journey is so unique to you that you actually just went for it fully, completely, passionately, no matter what anyone thought. And so for you to move to Bali, especially when your kids are often back in the States, is yet another thing that maybe the other moms won't understand. But, you know, who cares? Like this, you're such a passionate sojourner. You're so fierce and beautiful, and you're in your heart. You're not doing it to spite anyone. You're following your joy. And I would love for you to tell everybody about that, whatever you care to share.
Yeah. You know, I want to say there was a dream I had that that again was one of those messages that kept just widening my awareness and allowing me to live in a place for everything to unfold. And
Hmm.
what that was I had a dream with my son was in it, and he was writing this big paper in college, and it was just thousands of pages, and he's writing all of this, and he shows me, and it's the most beautiful thing I had ever seen, laid eyes on. And he hands it to his professor, and his professor looks at it and says, this isn't even English, and this is all out of order, and it makes no sense, and that nobody will can even read this or understand this. What is this? And was so upset. And and hands it to me. And I'm thinking, how can you not understand these words? How can you not feel into all of this? And I was devastated, thinking that I'm going to go hand it back to my son saying, they don't even understand you. And it was in that moment that he said, my son said, Mom, our journey is that I can communicate with you, and you're able to put it into the words for everybody else to hear and understand. And what all of that was talking about was taking our traumas, and especially the level of where grief can be at that lowest level of vibration and frequency as far as emotions we get to feel.
Hmm.
And
Heavy.
because that is attached to so much love, right? It's a very, very low emotion, but it's attached because of the amount of love we had for somebody,
Yes. Yes.
which you don't get that in the other lower emotions, right?
Hmm.
Anger, mad, right? You
That's
don't get the
true.
same level of
They all
love
feel
that's attached.
heavy, but grief is love with nowhere to go, right? Yeah.
So he showed that this is a direct, instant, just launch into higher consciousness if you can let go of everything on that low vibration that it's attached to. That you have this direct, just launching you into the highest soul growth opportunity if
Wow.
you can take that leap.
Because of the
And
love.
yeah, the love that's attached to
The
it, right?
Woo!
Yeah. So, I know I
Yeah,
get chills
that's
with
amazing. And
that.
I've never heard anyone say it like that before. That all of the other emotions that feel so heavy and toxic, and I am putting words in your mouth a little, they're learning. They're things that want to, have things to show us, but grief, because it's wrapped in love. It wouldn't be there if there hadn't been love. If you lost someone and you wouldn't care, you would have no grief. It's the love that makes it so potent.
Yeah.
Ah.
So the iconic day for me of where Bali unfolded,
Hmm.
all of these things I had already been learning on that soul level of trusting my guides and trusting my path and my journey, and being able to surrender. Um, there's a random Tuesday, just an afternoon in my home, and I just hear the word Bali drop into me, and I keep hearing the word Bali, and I didn't know where Bali was. I
Oh,
actually had to
wow.
Google Bali.
It came to you. You didn't. Okay, wow. You didn't see a picture and was like, "Oh, I want to go there." It came to you.
Yeah, so I Google it and I see
Okay.
that it's part of Indonesia, a country I've never been to, and I just can't get this Bali out of my head. So I start looking at YouTube videos and I see how beautifully spiritual it is. And not only that, just it's just the most beautiful, scenery and nature and all of the pieces for it.
Mm.
And I thought, yeah, oh, of course, I'll do a vacation there with my kids. In that moment, I immediately hear, no, you are going to move there.
I felt that before you even said it. Nobody said anything about vacation.
Yeah, yeah. So it
Ah.
was just, wow, I heard that right. Let me sit here with that for a moment, not reject, just sit with it,
Hmm.
feel into it. And that's what we talk about when we say drop into your heart, right?
Yes.
Don't get into your mind of, well, what does
Yes.
that mean? And how would I do that? And what would the cost be? Get out of all of
Mhm.
that. And in your heart, does it feel, wow, just this?
That's where the truth
In,
is.
yeah. And I could feel that. So I started looking into it. And it's the furthest place from Utah, from the United States, on the earth. If you were to take the
If you
globe
actually went straight through.
and
Yeah.
find the furthest place, it is Bali.
Oh my gosh. I love it so much. I love it.
So yeah, I started looking into it. And at this time, now I'm logically looking into it. I'm
Yeah.
getting in my head and I'm looking at the time zone difference of 14 hours. And I'm looking into the flights and how long it takes to get there. And I'm thinking, I'm a mother, I'm a single mom. And I can't do this. Their father is beautifully involved in their life. And we do this beautiful, right, balance of 50-50
Co-parenting.
and
Hmm.
yeah, all of that. And so I said, spirits, take me somewhere closer. Right? Costa Rica is just as beautiful. It's very spiritual, right? Take me there. And I started myself forcing a new path. I started looking into Costa Rica.
Wow.
And in those moments, it was a very short-lived moments of looking into Costa Rica that my heart broke on a level, and I cry every time
I can feel
I
that because you used the word forcing, and that's what you were doing. You were going against the grain and against what was calling you forth.
yes. And
It's
my
like you were
heart
giving up
broke.
on the dream that was being shown to you.
Yeah. And it was a level so intense, so undeniable that there was no way I could turn my back on this. I thought, okay, whatever Bali is, I'm all in. I can't deny this level of heartbreak. I mean, I've gone through two marriages, two
Yeah.
divorces. I've gone through loss. I've gone through actually I've had many miscarriages, I've had lots and lots of layers of grieving in so many ways. And this level of heartbreak still is so indescribable for me. So I thought, okay, I'm all in. There's no questioning it. I'm here. I am fully surrendering. I will in every way be guided on this. And I know that and I trust that. And I give you my all. And then it started. And with that, it doesn't turn into automatic bliss. You're going to be challenged
Yeah.
left and right.
Yeah. I'm
and,
aware.
and
Yeah.
so those next 2 months were very hard. Those next 2 months were, me now needing to navigate and explain this to people that this isn't their journey,
Yeah.
yet they're
And
going
it
to be
sounds
impacted by it.
illogical. It sounds
Yeah,
completely irresponsible, illogical, ridiculous. I know it because
crazy.
I want to be in
Absolutely.
Hawaii and no, like, we're being called to these places
Yeah. And when you feel that and know that,
without a
this is where
doubt.
you don't get in your head. This is not where you start weighing out pros and cons and your beliefs about everything, right? I could have gone down the path of my beliefs about Well, I'm a mother. I'm a mother of children. I have a career. I have a life here. What do I do about my family? I'm going to a country in the middle of a pandemic, a third world country I've
Yeah.
never been to. And I'm
God, you're making me feel like
selling,
yeah, you're calling me forth,
yeah,
is
I'm
what you're
selling
doing.
everything I own. I am fully committed before I even go, my first day. Right? So
Amazing.
I'm not even saying, let me go for a week or two and get a feel for things and
Yeah,
then I'll come back.
you're
No,
in.
and I waited till I heard the words, now's the time to sell your home. Put my home up
Okay.
for sale, and within the first day, we had to take it off the market because it was a bidding war.
Yeah.
And was getting all the messages. And all along, I was thinking I was going to be coming here to Bali with my same career. I had a 20-year career as a software developer, and I could work remote.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Seemed ideal. Wasn't.
yeah, right. No, at the very end, I get the message, now give your 2 weeks notice. And
Wow,
I
you're
thought,
really getting clear guidance.
we're doing this without a job. We're doing this without the income. We're doing this without that financial stability, security. We're doing this. And so I sold all of my belongings, everything I owned, everything, even my kids, what they had and what they needed to be at their dad's, but everything else of my life's existence. And I brought 2 suitcases and I came to Bali. And, everything unfolds just so beautifully when you can allow this. I mean, doors opened that I had every person I met in Bali say, how did you get in? The government has had visas closed down, locked down. Nobody's allowed to enter. And yet
Because
here you
that's
are.
3D. You followed spirit.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Those constraints can be our beliefs. We can
Yeah.
say, I can't go. I can't go during this time. And even though visually I could see online that they were locked down, I said, that's not a condition for
Guess
me.
I'm going because that's what's happening. Oh my gosh. I love it. You're just you don't even know. I mean, I know that you do, but you're opening up permission, 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 permission for people, including me, because I hold myself from being in Hawaii more because I have family and I have obligations and it's quite a tug of war for me emotionally and I'm just listening to you. It's always so inspiring because I think that I'm listening to spirit. I connect in every day, but I'm listening. I'm looking at you and listening to you and going, "Ooh, I'm not listening." Not like you would, not like you were. Oh, your picture froze. Okay, we're recording again. I lost her again for a second, but here she is back and we were just talking about knowing when your heart is calling you somewhere. And I think this is happening more and more as the world is awakening, as people are awakening and maybe I think for women this is a thing. If it's you and I, it's happening to others too. I know it is because it just is.
It's, I constantly keep seeing and feeling and getting these messages of that it's the women that have to take that step forward first. And I understand it in the duo of masculine and feminine energy. It's the feminine energy that holds the space. It's the feminine energy that allows the intuition, that creates the
Yes.
space, that gives birth to the world, that gives birth to an
Yes.
idea, that gives birth to an ascension, to a new way of
Mhm.
being. So those of us that are in deeply rooted and in our feminine now and leading
Yeah.
from that, we
Yes.
have to do that step forward. And when we do that, we hold and create that space for the divine masculine to come in and just have that leading power to make it turn into the the action and the moving forward
Yep, and the
and really
structure that's needed and yeah. Isn't that so fascinating because it's like we need the flow before the structure comes in where it's into it almost seems like we've been taught the opposite,
Yeah.
but you're right. We do have to be the leaders. I thought of so many names for this podcast and probably 100 different names, and leading with love just kept being the truth. Like, we are leading our own lives. We're leading our families, even if they don't understand. We're leading this world, this species in its awakening, in it's a brave new world. It really is. And it takes leadership. You have to step into that. And that's a masculine quality. But if you're doing it with love, it's
Yeah.
uh it's beautiful.
I also see that when the feminine can really lead from that space. They've done the work, they've done the healing, right?
Yeah.
They've healed from being in a driven masculine energy that was wounded, right? So I
Yes.
come from that background of my
As
whole
do I.
career was masculine, yeah, right? In a
Yeah.
very male
It's
dominated,
exhausting.
very, oh my gosh. Yeah. And I took so much pride in it. I have to
Of
say, I took so much
course.
pride that I could level up and be there and be in the
Yep.
lead of the masculine world, right?
Yeah.
But
You
when I
kicked ass.
came, yeah, right, and yeah, there's a lot of sense of accomplishment in that,
We get
and then
rewarded for it.
yeah,
Yeah.
then I get, now how about you go master that in your feminine? And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh no, feminine doesn't feel good for me. Feminine feels
Yeah.
weak. Feminine
Yes.
feels right.
I know. I remember not even knowing what is that? What are you talking about? Feminine essence. What? But and now it's like, oh, I mean, it was a process and a learning journey for me too. And feminine is so beautiful and it's so strong. And when we embody that, which we both do, it's not, you have to know who you are. And I wasn't this, but I am
Yeah.
now. And it is very powerful and strong and
And
unshakable and beautiful.
yeah, oh, unshakable. Oh,
Ooh.
ooh, right?
Yeah, it is. It's gorgeous energy when you tap into that. And that's what calls the masculine forth. No toxicity, no bravado or machismo, just strength that we really need. We need
And that's
it.
what I wanted to mention is when we can tap into that and take this lead, it's allowing the men to be in their true divine masculine and then
Yes.
step into their healed parts of that. We played a massive role in the wounding of masculinity because
Yeah.
we tried to step in and on a level show that we should all be doing the same thing and the same, bringing forth the same in our creation and our existence and
Yes.
our
They're
energy
not
in the
meant to
home.
be the same.
Yeah.
They're
And so us stepping
complementary.
into this, yeah, there has to be that
Mhm.
balance of both. And we
That's
have
where
both
we
energy in
do.
us.
Yeah, but that's where polarity comes from, right? Which is healthy and beautiful and oh my God, I feel like we could talk for hours, but yeah. So
So
thank
stepping
you.
out of that masculine
Yeah.
and into the feminine, which so many women are doing right now, it's allowing the men and the masculine to come in and do the same. So
Yes.
we're taking
I
that
agree.
lead. We're stepping out and more
Yeah.
into our feminine to allow this to unfold. Yeah.
It's
So goodness.
it's like we are actually answering when we're called forth and we have to do our work and then by us standing here being the women that we are, then not just us but women in general, then that calls forth that masculine. It's a natural thing and it's very healthy and it's good for this planet too. It's good for this world.
This is for a whole different topic, a whole different podcast, but I 100% see that when you have really found that balance within yourself and have allowed that balance of the masculine to come and be a part of your experience, through, may it be connections or relationships or coworkers, whatever that may be, the most beautiful abundance and co-creating happens on a
Yes.
level that is mind blowing.
Oh yeah. It's gorgeous because the male, the masculine, not the male, but it wants to support and serve and make happy our grins and the joy. That's life force, right? And they want to serve that and support. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah. They
it's
want to show
the
up for you.
yeah, they want to show up. And
Yeah.
when you were in a receiving mode and allow, I mean
Hmm.
that's the last half of right my Bali story leading up to this point.
Oh,
That's for a whole other
perfect.
conversation. But
Okay.
when you can receive, miracles unfold. I mean, it's just beyond beautiful.
Yeah.
But yeah, so coming here to Bali, I have to say the first day when I landed, the plane landed and it was very late at night and I couldn't see not a lot of street lights, couldn't really see the surroundings. And I'm in the back seat of a car that a driver's taking me. And in this moment, my soul and my heart just start crying. And I am just shedding all these tears in the back seat. And all I can hear roaring through my heart is, "You're home. You're
Hmm.
home." And again, I have no clue what this place looks like, why I'm here, what the future holds, what I'm going to be doing. And that feeling has never left.
Yeah.
It is on every level just a home where I'm meant to be.
I love
And,
it.
and, and,
I know
and
that
that's all.
feeling well. It's your soul's and heart's home. There's no questioning. It's just obvious. It just is. That's how I feel when I'm in Hawaii. Like the second I get there and when I leave, I'm sad. I feel homesick, and when I land, I cry because I'm like, oh, back home where my heart
Oh,
belongs. Yeah.
I wonder those watching, how many feel that draw and pull to a different location. And I also believe at this time of where the world's at and where the consciousness is and where all of us are going, so many of us are meant to energetically, physically be in a different part of the earth
Yes.
that we connect to on a level that is undescribable, of, of infinite energy that existed between us and that piece of land,
Yeah, it's
that energy.
calling us. I know
Yeah.
if you haven't felt this call and you're listening to this or watching this, it's a thing. It's like energy portals and vortexes, and they are calling us. You were called to Bali. I'm getting shivers. I am called to Hawaii. Some people are being called to Costa Rica for sure, is calling a lot of people right now. Sedona is calling people. There are just it's a migration that we are part of that's a bigger than the picture that we can see. But even as we are speaking this, I can feel that as truth, that it's
Oh,
part
yes.
of a purpose that is bigger than we are. And when we, especially as women, but anybody who's done a lot of inner work and done a lot of healing work, when we are in our place, the power is so much stronger than when we're resisting and we're staying on the mainland, for instance, for you and I in North America, instead of being on our islands. Like, I know when I'm in Hawaii, the frequency that I'm in is so high and clear and beautiful. And it's like it radiates out to the whole planet. It really
That's exactly
does.
that's our purpose. That's
Yeah.
exactly the
Yes.
calling. You are anchored into a certain spot on the earth that you and your frequency can eliminate the most massive energy across the whole world.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
can see that it's almost like you see the grids, night grid of the earth, and you see
Uh-huh.
all these right fluorescent blue lines of a grid going all the way
I
around the
have a
earth.
picture of it exactly like
And,
that, with little points of light, a grid. Yeah. It's how it
right?
feels. We're holding this light and love and frequency, and it's so beautiful.
And when we all anchor in to that place we're meant to be, um, it's like everything is going to be activated. It's the most beautiful
Activation.
feeling.
Whew.
Yeah.
I love that word.
same experience for me, that when I come and go from Bali back to America, I do a lot of this back and forth to be with
Yeah.
my kids. And when I do that, it's interesting. I have to say that when I first started leaving Bali to go back to see my kids, I would pull up Expedia and I would search for the shortest, quickest, cheapest flight that worked out ideal for me and ideal for my kids. And it would be a disaster.
Hmm.
And then I started realizing, oh, I need to work with Source on this.
I was gonna say you weren't listening to those messages anymore.
Ah, I was forcing of, okay, I would like to go back this day, and this is right. Find me all the details, and then I started realizing it turned into chaos if I started taking a forceful lead.
Thank
So then I
you.
started realizing I needed to say, okay, let me know when it's time. And I would pull up a list on Expedia and I would I do a lot of like muscle testing or
Yeah.
different ways to communicate, right, with my
Hmm.
guides of which one is the best, which one is the one that I should be on, right?
Yeah.
Not just the best, but
It would show
um,
you, right? Reveal itself to you.
and none of it's related to the price tag.
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to take the
Yeah.
the forceful lead and say no, let's aim for a different price. But yeah, so I would be guided on what is the exact appropriate flight that I am meant to be on, that I am protected and guided by. And that didn't just serve a purpose that I would travel safely to get back to America. I knew that it served a purpose that every layover and connecting flight that I went to, that my energy was meant to connect with that land all along the way. And I've
Oh, and
done maybe,
people, you don't even know the impacts that you had that are yeah, yes.
I think I've done maybe, oh, I don't even know, maybe 10 round trips now in this close to 2 years,
Wow.
close
Okay.
to maybe 10, maybe a few more round
Hmm.
trips. And each one has had me going to a different place around the earth, the,
Oh,
the
wow.
itinerary. And it's been beautiful every time. I know that now I'm anchored in here, and so I've taken this light, this source that I'm connecting to in Bali, that is able to just activate and in every way, oh, what's the word I'm looking for, just not multiply, but oh, there's a beautiful word I'm trying to
It'll
like
come.
dig out here.
Hmm.
and and then the stops that I make along the way, it's like it's anchoring in the energy there, and then to the
Yes.
next. Most of my routes, I go through 3 to 4 countries each time,
Beautiful.
and different locations. So it's yeah, the more and more in every way that it's like, just allow you to be guided, allow for these simple little nudges, that this is something much larger on a scale that I can't even fathom. And
Right.
yet I
Just play
think
the part that's being asked of you.
and it makes no logical sense. I'm a mother. I'm here. Why am I here? And why am I spending all this time? And when I'm here, all I'm doing is anchoring in the light and the
You're just
energy. I,
being.
I'm
Yeah. I
being.
totally
I
get
am.
that. I do. And you're actually giving me a little permission to remember that um, it's okay for me to come back and not be in Hawaii all the time because somebody beautiful said to me when I was there, she said, but you are a spiritual warrior. You come here and you fill up with aloha and then you take it out into the world. And that's part of your purpose. And I forget that sometimes because I just want to be there and I feel this yearning to be there and I feel like something's wrong and I'm, being prevented from being in my place, but maybe, not maybe, it is exactly perfect right now that I am going back and forth and bringing that back to maybe North America where it's really needed. Just like all the
Yeah,
little spots on your journey, just infusing them with a
absolutely.
little more light and love.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you feel this, the energy and the frequency going from Hawaii back here.
It's pretty
Um,
brutal to me.
it is,
It's
right?
like a gut punch. Yeah. It's like, oh no. Yeah.
You know, yeah. Always when I book my flights to go to America, it's usually 5 to 7 days before I go. It's never a big pre-plan, right? I wait till my
Well, that's a
guides say,
long
"Okay,
time.
now
Mine usually like a couple days. Like I'm going tomorrow.
oh,
Yeah.
I've had many of those
Yeah,
too,
I'm
right?
sure.
What's
I
the
love
plan
it. Well,
tomorrow?"
that's how spirit works, right? You can't plan. I know this, it drives my daughter nuts, and I'm just like, but I can't plan because I can't explain it. Well, I can, but it won't land. But it's like I have to be ready for what shows up and lean
Yeah.
into whether that's a yes or no. Every day, every hour, different things are showing up for me to say yes and no to. So how could I tell you what's going to happen next week? It's a different way of living, but it really is guided. So it's not, I take back that I said I'm not listening because I am all the time, for
I
sure.
love what you just said, like this, that I have to be ready for what shows up. I have to be ready for that message. I have to be ready and available for
Present.
that message, for that guidance, for
Yeah.
that gift to be handed to me. I have to be
Yes.
ready, right?
Yeah.
And
Yes,
what does that
exactly.
ready mean? You know, what does that ready mean? It means that we don't have an agenda in the outcome of something.
No
It means that we don't
expectations.
have, yeah, the restriction and the blocks, and also we don't have the demands. When I first did this, I said, okay, I will go, but only if, and I
Yeah,
never
it doesn't work that way.
know.
We don't get to bargain, but we also get to learn to trust that whatever's being asked of us and whatever's calling us forth is exactly what it should be, and that it really is for the best. Because I know I
Yeah.
resisted guidance for a long time because I thought, well, what if it's not something I don't want? What if it's something I
Mhm.
don't like? But it always ends up being perfect.
Yeah.
And you're showing me in this conversation, reminding me that I'm in Vancouver right now. I'm not in Hawaii. And whew, I got a shiver on that. It's perfect. It
Mhm.
has to be because I'm not resisting anything.
Yeah, you're exactly where you're meant to be in this exact moment, and you are available and ready for when you get that next message. You know,
Yeah, which feels like I
if
want to get on a plane to Hawaii tomorrow. No, I'm kidding. That's always going to be true unless I'm there. But you're reminding me of something you said too. One of your beautiful Facebook posts. They're always so gorgeous and filled with wisdom and spirit and light and all the beautiful things, and energy, like life, life force. You know it. Something about one of your recent posts said, it's coming up a lot for me too in conversation, is just when one door opens or one door closes, it's the same concept of not resisting and not making any assumptions. And if somebody comes along and then leaves, or if you thought you have an opportunity but then it falls through, there's a reason for that. It was a mismatch. And so
yeah,
knowing and practicing and just being in the habit of going, okay, I guess that wasn't for me then, and not like trying to hang on to stuff that isn't for you, um,
and force it,
and
right? That's where
force
we
it.
get in a force energy. Yeah,
And we break our
yeah,
own hearts doing stuff like that, right? By trying to make things work, or an opportunity or thing, when it was like, okay, it just came in and then it went. Like things show up all the time. But the way that you put it in your post was just like, you never question when a door opens and then it closes again. You're just like, okay, guess that
well, you
wasn't
know
for
what,
me.
there's many that are in such a fast moving energy and a fast moving manifestation, right? that that many times we think, okay, I can dream big and I don't have blocks and I can manifest. And then we see a little door open up and then it shuts and we think, wait, I just manifested. Why did that door close on me? And this was kind of what I was leading up to with these messages about doors opening and closing, is we have to trust that we just planted a seed for that other person, for whatever was behind that door that other people are
Ooh.
energetically play a part in. We needed to open the door, crack it open, let them see the light, and then it's going to close. And then they need to spend time acclimating in that and getting the messages and finding their truth in it and stepping up to the plate, right? Stepping up with
Hmm.
their bravery of, I just saw something behind that
A
door
little
and
glimpse.
I'm go to it. I will go to that. I will open that, even though that door has been blocked and we're told not to open that door, and that there's so much unknown, or what could that door be, right? I just saw a little glimpse. And now I need to spend that energy needs to build up. That energy needs to acclimate to a place where when that door is fully open, they can be in this space. They can hold this space. They can hold their
Wow,
own. They can
Amy, that is so
be with
beautiful.
us.
That the doors aren't just for us, but that we're cracking open doors for other people. And on their journey, they may not be ready for those doors yet, which is absolutely true. But it's like this little entree that we pin there for when they are ready. And people are doing that for us too, unbeknownst to us, right? That is such a beautiful thought. It's exactly truth. Ooh, I bonked my mic. Sorry guys for those listening if that was loud. Um that is really cool that the doors aren't just for us. So instead of being disappointed, it's like, it's okay. Maybe we planted a little seed there, as you said. Maybe we had that slight interaction for a reason that is for them and not for us
Yeah.
necessarily.
It can be that I already see
Yeah.
the bigger picture. And I've seen that door being swung wide open, and how the unity of these two different worlds on both sides of this door, um, how beautiful they'll unite. Even though I've seen that,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that all of the parties at play are in that same vision yet
Yes.
and
Or
have
are
been
ready
given
yet.
the, yeah, ready yet, right?
Yeah.
So it's if that door closes, it's like it's just temporary. If I'm solid and anchored in my truth, I know that if that door never opens, that still my journey, my path, I may have to crack a few open and say, hey, out there, who's ready for this?
Yeah.
Right? Which
Beautiful.
door out of all of this is actually going to open up? And maybe I'm moving at a faster pace, so i'm
Yes.
i'm going through and I'm opening all of them just a tiny bit to
Yeah.
see,
Just
okay,
it's like an
who's ready to
exploration.
move.
Yeah, who can meet me and walk with me
Yeah,
and have an adventure with me, and that's what you and I are, right? If it had been someone else, maybe our energies wouldn't have matched at all, or they wouldn't have been ready to have this conversation. That's why for me, I only have these conversations on this podcast with we're both a yes, 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 yes. Not just like, oh, that sounds interesting. Yeah, sure. No, 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 no. It has to be like, yeah, let's do
and
it.
that yes, yeah, that yes, I don't even need to ask, well, what would the topic be? I didn't
No,
have to ask any
nope,
questions.
nope.
I didn't have to
Yes.
say, well, tell me a little bit about this. Let me think and
Exactly.
get in my head to see if this is something I want. It's
Yeah.
energetically you tell yes, and I saw that before you even asked.
Exactly, exactly. That's so gorgeous. We get to be this living demonstration right now of how what's possible for anyone who is maybe not accustomed to feeling into what's a yes or no for them. And
Yeah.
when you really start listening to your heart and cultivating that presence and that alignment and letting go of the stories, like you said, getting out of your head and into your heart. That's a phrase I use a lot because I think that's what I'm here for is to help people get out of their head and be in their hearts. And that's where you hear the obvious yes or no's. That's where when everything shows up in your day, it's like a buffet, you can tell, oh yeah, oh no, like what you want to lean into and what not. So maybe for me, it's a little different than your voices and guidance. For me, it's like a mm-hmm or
Mm.
no,
Yeah.
energetically.
I've had a lot of people ask, um, that they hear their yes or no, but they still question it. And
Mm.
and I remember, years back when I was still in my heavy grief, um, I remember voicing to someone that the most fearful part of this whole process is I don't know when my fear is telling me yes or no, or my heart is telling me yes or no, or my guides are telling me yes or no, or my instinct, or I mean, I had no clue who was talking to me. I didn't know if it was my
You're just making it all up.
or was it speaking from my wound? Was it speaking
Mm,
from my, was it speaking from fear that I'm going to lose somebody else, right? Where is this speaking from? I couldn't identify and really say, ah, this I know is speaking from my source,
yes,
from my soul.
yes,
And
yes.
this is speaking. So let me give an example. The maybe biggest test that I've really walked through in anchoring in and knowing the difference between that
It's all you.
was part of my journey here to Bali. And it was leading up to the last little bit of time before I came to Bali. And at the time, I was thinking, I've been homeschooling my kids. This is in the middle of COVID. People are still homeschooling their kids. This will be easy. We can still continue this 50-50 role split between them spending time with their father and them spending time with me. It will just look a little different instead of a almost everyday 50-50. We were very entangled all week long, that it will just look a little different. Maybe it's a month in Bali with me and then a month with their dad. And so this is, the
Trying to work
the
it out.
accepted outcome, yeah, that I had. And then we started going to a guidance. I don't, what would you refer to it as? A custody mediator
Like a
to
mediator or a
help,
counselor. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and to help us work through what this arrangement would be. And so much a part of me was like, nope, I'm their mom. They deserve me as much time as their father. I'm their mom. I need them. They need me. This is what's fair. I am holding my ground. This is
Mhm.
what we can do. And we can do this. We can make it happen. And we were maybe 2 days into it. And all of a sudden, I stopped and said, is that what's actually supposed to happen? And I just sunk deep into my heart, my mama heart,
Ooh,
that's like,
yeah.
I can't lose kids again, right? Oh, this is coming from this heart, this mama heart that's gone through so much with children. And I thought, I'm ready to listen to my heart right now. I know I'm meant to go to Bali, and that is not questionable. So now, how do I make this work? Not how do I make this work? What is meant to unfold for my
Yeah.
children now? And in that moment, I said, am I supposed to just allow whatever is unfolding, whatever uh, their father is seeking, that is the best for the children?
Hmm.
And my heart felt free in
Ooh,
that moment. My
there's
heart
your
was like,
answer. Yeah. You were
and there was a
trying so
part of me that
hard and you
grieved.
didn't want to lose again. And yeah.
There was a part of me right in that moment, because I knew, because of that peace that came over me, I also went through grief. I thought, oh God, really? That's my
Yeah.
answer. Oh, how do I do this then? Okay, like, I can't deny that feeling,
Yeah.
that peace that just came over me,
It
but
was
that's going to be
obvious.
hard for me to accept. Give me a
Yeah.
moment, give me some time to allow this acceptance, right?
Yeah.
um, and so really being able to do that, right? We get caught up in what we think we need and what they need, and it's our ego, it's our personality, it's us saying what's right and what's fair and what's this. But then if we stop with all of it and just take that big deep breath, even though it may be so painful,
Yep.
so painful,
Yes.
ask the question, is this what is meant for the highest good? Not for me,
Yeah.
not only for my children, for the highest good of all.
Yep.
And you'll have that feeling. You'll know the
Oh,
answer
yeah.
right when you can
And it won't be what
just,
you think sometimes. I've had some things that were asked of me in this life by God, by spirit, by my higher self that were really took so much courage and things that logically, humanly, I was like, nope. But this is what is asked of me. This is what is being asked of me right now. So it has to be for the good of all. It has to be because it's calling me, right? It's speaking to me. My camera's running out of battery. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. And okay. So we only have a few minutes left. But
Okay.
yeah, it's not always the easy thing to follow what spirit is asking of you, or and to
And it's
fully
not,
accept and then step into whatever that is.
yeah. And with that, it's not meant for anybody else to understand,
No.
so when we
But
can let go of, yeah,
you
we
just
lose
know.
a lot of people in the process. I
Yeah.
mean, this was something for me. I lost my connections with my family, like
I'm sorry.
my support,
And
my
yeah.
parents, my siblings. And so when I make that travel back to the US, I'm trying to seek people that will help support during just my stay while I'm there. And so, but when we're so anchored in what we're supposed to do, there's kind of this sense of power that comes through of, isn't it special and unique that nobody actually understands this, but I do?
Yeah, nobody
I
else
know
needs to.
there's
It
so
always
much
reminds me of
truth.
Morpheus. He's like, your beliefs don't require, like, I don't need, my beliefs don't require you to understand. And when we get that really strong knowing, and you're helping me with that too, and I'm generally pretty good with that. I know, like, I know what I know. You can't unsee the, like, it's just, we know. I just know. It's powerful. It's part of what's good for this planet is when we follow our knowing, and everybody's denying their knowing all the time. So for you to follow it like that so beautifully and clearly is such an inspiration. And I don't want to end this conversation, but I don't want it to end on us by something running out of battery.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I love you and I'm grateful for this time. And we did pretty good with the internet. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, yeah, the connection stayed good. I have to say the same. Seeing you in your full knowing of who you are, and not only who you are and who you're meant to be for you and your family, but on a level of all of consciousness that's tapping into you, that people that have never met you, that have never had a conversation, that may not see you on social media. Energy is is just right,
Yes.
magnified and
Yes.
crossed over through all. So they talk about when one person heals and one person
Exactly.
steps into this amount of power,
Yes.
it affects hundreds of thousands of
Yes.
humanity.
David Hawkins says that one person in the frequency of love and peace and joy offsets millions of lower
Mm.
frequency, like millions of people. So, our prime job is to hold the highest, cleanest, most beautiful frequency that we can. And that's our natural state. We've just been bred out of it, really, right? So, I'm so grateful to even to know that and to have the opportunity to be a source of love in this world, to just really be that. And I know that you are too. And I'm so grateful for this time. Again, there's a lot of things I want to ask you, but I feel like I'm very
Yes.
short on time here. Just yeah. So before we wrap up, just tell me and everyone listening and watching, anything you'd like to finish up with, where they can find you. I know you do have several services, so whatever you want to sort of wrap up with, please go ahead.
Yeah, so out on all the social media, right? You can find me on Facebook and on Instagram.
I'm gonna put up your name
The
again.
different, oh, thank you.
Yep.
Um, I currently started opening up retreats here in Bali. I just last night finished up with a few clients that hopped over for the weekend from the Philippines,
Just hopped
and
over.
yeah, and so I do a lot of online remote energy healing work.
Hmm.
I also have a private Facebook group page where it's a very low price of a subscription, and in there I share so much of the energy here, the ancient knowledge and the ancient just there's just this energy that just rumbles through the ground when I walk here, and I
Woo, beautiful.
love sharing it. And so in this private group, I do a lot of oracle card pulls. I do energy clearing for everybody that's in the group at a constant, and I tap into all of the deities and energy that I'm so divinely connected with here in Bali. And it's extending actually into India of a lot of this awareness and knowing that I'm tapping into.
Yeah,
And
that makes
so
sense.
I do a lot of connecting out in that group. It's a you can message me through other ways to get into the private group there. But
Beautiful.
so yeah, different energy healing work, and moving my way into allowing a space where people can come here and just allow the purity of the energy and how much it just cleanses our soul and anchors us in. So
Yes. Woo. I love that. Especially, I really love that you shared that you were not spiritual at all before you went through the loss that you went through, because what an opening that was for you and for this whole world. Like, you are such a gift, and you had to allow that all to happen. So, thank you for doing so. Thank you for being so open and such a seeker at that time. And so, thank you to your beautiful son, because he, you guys chose this.
yes, that's something that is just, it's beautiful when you can come to that awareness. It's
Hmm.
so beautiful what is on that other side. That's to pull the strength and the power from where they reside on that other side is much more powerful than anything we can attach ourselves
Wow.
to here.
Yeah. Woo! Gorgeous.
Okay.
Okay. There will be more, but thank you. So I'm going to send you, as I said, back to the little green room, and I'm going to run just the little credits, and I will be with you momentarily. Thank you so much. Just beautiful. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you. Okay.
Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, I hope you enjoyed this episode and it helped you open your heart, feel inspired, and know that we are all connected. Please subscribe and share so this work can touch more people. This is how we co create the world we want to live in. Thank you so much again for joining us, and talk to you next time.